Billionaire meets black waitress at son's grave. Truth shocks her. A billionaire visits her only son's grave, but freezes when she sees a black waitress crying beside it, holding a white-skinned baby. What she discovers next will shatter her world. Watch till the end and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more shocking true-life stories. Margaret Langford was a name that echoed through boardrooms and charity galas. A self-made billionaire, she built her empire from the ground up after inheriting nothing but debt from her estranged parents. Her only true joy in life was her son, Daniel Langford, until he tragically died in a car accident 2 years ago. Since that day, every Sunday morning at 9 a.m. sharp, Margaret would visit Daniel's grave. She would bring fresh white lilies, his favorite, and sit silently for 20 minutes, speaking only with her eyes to the photograph etched into the tombstone. She had always believed Daniel had no secrets, no scandals, no lies. He had followed in her footsteps, graduated from Harvard, and kept to himself. But this Sunday was different. As her black Bentley pulled up to the cemetery gates, her driver Harold pointed silently toward the gravestone. A young black woman in a modest uniform, clearly a waitress, was kneeling in front of Daniel's grave, sobbing into her hands. Beside her sat a stroller with a white-skinned baby, no older than 1. Margaret's breath caught in her throat. She stepped out, heels clicking on the stone path. The woman noticed her and stood quickly, wiping her tears. Her eyes widened in fear as she clutched the stroller's handle. Margaret's voice came out cold and clipped. "Who are you, and why are you crying at my son's grave?" The woman hesitated. I'm sorry, ma'am. I didn't know anyone else came here. I just needed to say goodbye again." "Goodbye again," Margaret echoed. The woman's voice trembled. "My name is Renee. I was Daniel's wife." The word wife sent a chill down Margaret's spine. "Daniel married to a waitress? That's not possible," she snapped. "I knew everything about my son. He would have told me." Renee lowered her eyes. "He wanted to, but he was scared of what you'd think, of how it would affect your image, your empire." Margaret's lips tightened. "And the child?" Renee picked up the baby gently. "His name is Elliot. He's Daniel's son. Our son." The baby looked up with pale green eyes, Daniel's eyes, but the mother was clearly black, and the child was light-skinned, almost white. Margaret's brain spun. She didn't know whether to scream or faint. "I don't believe you," she whispered. "This is a scam." Renee opened her purse slowly and handed over a small folded envelope. Inside was a marriage certificate from 2.5 years ago. Margaret blinked at the official stamp. It was real, and beside it, a DNA test, 99.99% paternity match. Daniel Langford. Tears welled up in Margaret's eyes, but not for the reasons Renee expected. She wasn't just shocked, she was angry. Daniel had kept this from her. He had lived a secret life, married someone he knew she wouldn't approve of, not because she was black, but because she was poor, unknown, ordinary. Renee's voice broke the silence. "He wanted to tell you, but every time he tried, you'd talk about his future wife, someone on his level. He didn't want to lose you, so we hid." Margaret sat on the stone bench, legs weak. Her heart felt heavy, not just with grief, but guilt. Margaret asked Renee to meet her the next day at her penthouse. She needed answers. Renee came, holding Elliot in one arm and a folder in the other. They sat awkwardly across from each other. "I'm not here to fight," Renee said softly, "but I want Elliot to know his father's side, the Langford legacy, and I need help." Margaret looked sharply at her. "I don't want your money," Renee added quickly. "I want his story to be told honestly. He was more than a Langford. He was a father, a husband, a man who loved." She handed over the folder. Inside were dozens of letters, texts, photos, and even a short video. In one clip, Daniel was kissing Renee's pregnant belly, laughing. "This kid's going to change the world," he said. Margaret watched silently, tears slipping down her cheeks. Daniel had looked happy, truly happy in a way she hadn't seen in years. Not during business meetings, not during charity galas, only here, in this private world he kept hidden. "Why did you never come forward after his death?" Margaret finally asked. "I was afraid," Renee admitted. "You have power. I'm just a waitress, and I didn't want Elliot growing up feeling unwanted." Margaret nodded slowly. For the first time in years, she saw beyond the surface, beyond skin, beyond status. She saw love. Weeks passed. Margaret did not try to hide Renee and Elliot. Instead, she invited them to a formal memorial for Daniel attended by the press, CEOs, and politicians. When she stepped on stage, the audience fell silent. "There's something I must confess," she began. "My son Daniel kept a secret, not because he was ashamed, but because he was afraid I wouldn't understand, but I do now. And I'm proud to introduce you all to his wife, Renee, and their son, Elliot Langford." Gasps rippled through the crowd. Cameras flashed. Some murmured, others applauded. Renee stepped forward holding Elliot, her hands shaking. Margaret placed an arm gently around her. "She's not just the mother of my grandson," Margaret continued. "She's family. The Media exploded, headlines blazed. Langford heir found. Billionaire embraces secret daughter-in-law and grandson. From waitress to heiress, the hidden love story the world watched as Renee and Elliot moved into a new life, not of wealth, but of belonging. Months later, Margaret stepped onto the Langford Foundation stage, now renamed the Daniel Langford Family Trust, a charity focused on supporting interracial families, single mothers, and education. Renee stood beside her. Now on the board of directors, Elliot, now walking, giggled in the background, playing with toys that once belonged to Daniel. Margaret looked into the camera during a televised interview. My son taught me the biggest lesson of all. Love doesn't need permission. It only needs courage. I almost missed meeting my grandson because of pride, but I won't make that mistake again. Renee smiled. He always said you'd come around, that you were a tough wall. But once someone got through, your heart was gold. Margaret looked at the boy playing beside her. I may have lost my son, but I gained a grandson, and a daughter I never knew I needed. As the camera faded out, Elliot climbed onto Margaret's lap and pointed to the sky. He whispered, "Dot." The billionaire closed her eyes. "Thank you, Daniel," she said, "for everything."